Hello, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to discuss what quality language teaching entails. In this video, we'll explore why an integrated approach, content-based instruction, and translanguaging are all essential elements in creating equity and success in a classroom of multilingual learners. This first topic is probably best described in contrast to its opposite, the discrete approach. While a discrete approach consists of teaching and learning language by focusing on just one language domain at a time, an integrated approach combines the different domains together so students are exercising two or multiple of their language skills within one activity. Let's look at some examples. On one hand, students could learn and showcase their knowledge of their second language by doing an integrated project like this. This vision board consists of the following steps. First, students read and answer questions about a story they read on hobbies and achievements. This involves reading and writing. Next, they talk in groups about achievements and goals. This involves listening and speaking. After, they collect, draw, and write about their achievements and their goals. This involves writing. Finally, they present their vision board. They use the new structures and vocab to talk about their goals, which involves speaking. And while they're not presenting, they listen, ask questions, and take notes during the presentation and the discussion time afterward. This involves listening, speaking, and writing. As you can see, this project integrates all four of the language domains. A discrete activity for the same unit's lesson might look something more like this. Students write out complete sentences stringing together the components provided. And then next, they'll write sentences about their own futures using these new structures, which are the words going to and might. This is not to say that discrete practices such as drills have no place in the language classroom, or any classroom for that matter. They certainly can be helpful in making concepts more concrete. But at the end of the day, I do consider it essential that we integrate the domains of language in as many contexts as possible. Why is this? Because integrated activities mimic real life. If we want to equip our students to communicate in their second language, immersing them in, or at least exposing them to, situations where the language is integrated will provide an experience that is so much more authentic to interactions in the real world than a worksheet ever could be. And speaking of authenticity, this serves as a fitting introduction to my second tenet of good quality language teaching, which is content-based instruction, or CBI. When using content-based instruction, the content that is fully in the target language becomes the tool for teaching, rather than teaching isolated words or facts and encouraging students to memorize them. Here, students are learning about something such as cuisine or transportation and not learning about one specific aspect of language. Let's look at one example. In order to practice question words, addresses, and popular places, a teacher could use the following sequence over the course of one or multiple classes. The content focus for this sequence is travel. First, students read a travel guide or travel blogs, and they review nearby sites for various travel destinations of their dream destination. Next, they do a web quest. Afterward, they do a role play with a partner, and finally, as a summative assessment, students could create a Flipgrid video using all of their prerequisite knowledge as well as their newly gained knowledge from their research and their conversations. With travel being the content, students focus on the language they would need to acquire in order to travel in their target language or their dream destination. Some other ideas for CBI in the language classroom include using cooking shows to teach food, using songs or poetry to teach slang or idiomatic expressions, and then any other sort of content or media that comes from the target language and is representative of the target culture. There are nearly unlimited ways in which a teacher can choose content first and help students build up their linguistic repertoire from there. And speaking of linguistic repertoire, this brings me to the final topic of translanguaging. I think there's a misconception that this term means simply to translate or use two languages in the classroom, but the pedagogical theory behind translanguaging is rather that the teacher creates opportunities for students to intentionally bridge their home language to the target language. Because it is of the utmost importance that students are being given comprehensible input for their level, allowing students to access their home language, or as many languages as they know, allows them to access all of their funds of knowledge. This may involve allowing students to do research in their home language, but then presenting their final product in the target language. Ultimately, this process creates a more equitable environment for learners at any linguistic level. If you feel you don't know where to begin, Karen Beeman outlines several strategies for the classroom where a teacher can create this bridge. First, create a structure for your class. For example, in her ELL classroom, she uses the Spanish language, then uses a bridge, and then brings students into the English language. In her classroom, both languages are allowed in class, but they always have their own space and they're signified by their own color, such as Spanish words being on the board in red and English words being written on the board in blue. When creating the bridge to transfer from one language to another, she suggests using some sort of signal. Her examples include waving a magic scarf, holding up a sign, or saying they're going to change the channel. She also recommends having anchor charts for both languages and hanging them up in the room. And then finally, during the bridge, she wants you to highlight similarities, such as cognates, compare and contrast the languages, and have students speak with their partner as well as the teacher. Most importantly, this is not an example of random code switching, nor is it about simple translation. This is an intentional use of both languages in the learning environment. I hope this video was informative in outlining building blocks for effective language teaching. Thank you for listening in.